Culture shifts when people take action. Through the Diana Awards Free the Shoulders campaign, we're discussing what it means to challenge appearance-based bullying and create safer school environments. I'm Juliana, and I'd like to welcome you to the final episode of our limited edition Free the Shoulders podcast series from the Diana Award. As you hopefully know by now, the Diana Award is a UK-wide charity that believes young people can change the world. Their anti-bullying program enables young people, parents and teachers to tackle bullying by building skills and confidence to address different situations. And so, we're in Scotland today at James Young High School in West Lothian. I'm joined by students Amy and Kyle and teacher Daniel. We're going to talk about how we can all take responsibility to prevent bullying. This episode is called Upstanders. But what is an upstander? It's pretty simple. Actually, in this context, an upstander is someone who chooses to support a person who's being bullied. They might use positive language, contact a teacher on their behalf, or simply disrupt the situation. What does being an upstander look like in real school settings, corridor, or even online?
Someone that helps someone who's getting bullied and will get a teacher for them if they're in trouble.
And Amy, what does make an upstander role being such a difficult one?
It can be a difficult one because you never really know if the person that you're reporting against is going to go after you or feel threatened by you and get people on you.
It can be seen as it makes the situation worse at times, doesn't it? If people start to get involved. Yeah.
Would we calling that social pressure? Yes. Is that worse when you're teenagers in a school setting?
Yeah.
How does that look like?
So it would look like people would probably come after you and you'd probably feel quite sad about it if you got involved and they started bullying you.
How would you prevent that to happen?
To prevent it, you can kind of keep your name like anonymous from the situation, but still report it so your name doesn't get spread about it.
I think that can be our fear of, for us as teachers getting involved. Sometimes we feel it's felt that we might make the situation worse if we get involved, don't we? So we need to try and do it in a way that is not going to make other people feel uncomfortable or bring other people into it. So we've got subtle ways that we can try and say that it's teachers that have noticed things happening rather than your peers that have noticed things as well.
Daniel, when those incidents happen, what is the best way for students and the school to respond?
I think the students, in some ways, it's not getting involved, so trying to take themselves out of the situation, but also getting involved, and we really empower our students to try and report things that are happening, and hopefully they feel, and we make big efforts of asking that all students have a adult in school that they feel that they can talk to. And I think that by doing that, even if it's a member of pupil sport, if it's their teacher, if it's a learning assistant, if somebody in the school that they can go to and just let them know what's happening, or even somebody at home, let them know what's happening so we can intervene. And that's something that's really important to us.
On that note, what would be the practical steps from a school perspective, from a teacher perspective, that the students can take, especially regarding appearance bullying?
I think we always ask that they come and report things that are happening. We would encourage you to support each other. So it doesn't have to be you coming on your own to report something. Use your peers, use your friends to try and help make that situation easier to do. And I think we make a big point of that in school. Our values are gone over all the time, and we really try and enforce these and make our students want to live by these values. And by doing that, make it a safe place where they feel like they can come and report anything that is happening as well.
Amy, what's your view on the school approach?
I think the school approach is always quite well done when situations happen. They're really good at keeping your name anonymous if you don't really want to be properly involved, but they'll still get the problem solved.
Kyle, what can be improved, or what do you think is the best about the school approach?
I think The best thing about the school approach is that there's always going to be someone there for you in tough times, and that they could probably set up a QR code or somewhere on Teams for you that if you're getting bullied, and you want to be anonymous, then you can put a form through or something to tell them that you're getting bullied and you need help.
That's a really good idea. I think that's something we could have around the corridors and things, and even just a quick, and nobody's seeing you doing that. Nobody's seeing you coming up to pupil support. Nobody's seeing you talking to a teacher. That would be a really good way of doing something. So something that we would want to maybe include as a school or start.
Do you think that would break some barriers and help people to become upstanders?
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause I think they'll find it a lot easier if there's something to help them.
Amy, what could you leave young people a message? What message would you leave them if they are going through appearance bullying at the moment, or they're having self-worth issues? What would that message be?
If you're feeling alone, there's always going to be someone with you. It's like tricky kind of to get help, but there will always be like help no matter what, and that you don't really like need to worry again.
Is it difficult for the person going through that situation to see that help is there? Is that so? And so, Kyle, what would you say to them?
That they'll be all right as soon as you get help, and with help it will be a lot easier for you to deal with it.
Why do you think that it maybe goes unnoticed sometimes, or why does it take so long to come out?
Because people would probably be embarrassed to go tell a teacher that they can't fight their own battles and they have to go get someone else to help them. But really, it's all right if you get someone else to help you.
Yeah, and okay to help other people as well. I think we've all got so much to worry about within ourselves to try and take on somebody else's worries and troubles is a big thing, and so it's a lot of responsibility we're putting on your shoulders. But it's caring and looking out for each other, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What would be your message, Daniel?
I think just to look out and care for each other. I think the best thing that we can do is try and minimize all these situations as much as possible. I think there's so much attraction to being drawn to these situations when things kick off around school. We know that people can be drawn to these kind of situations, but if we try and shut them down as early as possible, they don't turn into something quite as big, and it's real people's lives we're talking about. So it can help to reduce that massively if less people are involved. And I think with phones, that makes it even harder as well, because I don't know how you two feel. It's sometimes you can never get away from things. You never with phones and social media. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do things continue when you then get home as well? Yeah. So I think if we can maybe encourage, and what we do encourage through assemblies and our school values all the time, is trying to not get people to react to these situations, and definitely not getting people filming and carrying it on Snapchat and that sort of thing when they get home. Is a big message we try and get across. What
would be resources or actions that a school could take to help people become upstanders?
Probably I think like the website. It's like if you're being bullied, that website helps, and I think it explains a bit on how to be an upstander towards bullying, because you could probably feel a lot better about yourself if you do something about bullying rather than just watching it happen.
Amy, do you see a particular group of people or someone we would be more keen to look out for?
I feel like we need to look after people more with disabilities, because there's a lot more ableism going around since people see them as such easy targets, which is quite unfair, to be honest. But I feel like we kind of need to look out for them a bit more, because sometimes they do just get that little bit more irritated with the situations, and people find them kind of more easier to manipulate into thinking that they're doing nothing wrong and it's just a joke.
And I think they sometimes don't realise that that's what people are doing to them, don't they? And then people can be quite clever, bullies can be quite clever about what they're doing, and actually really making someone feel like they are being included, but really they're just isolating them and winding them up, aren't they? Yeah.
When you say it's just a joke, it's likely the standard response. Is it just a joke? We know it's not. Does it stick with you? Appearance bullying specifically? How does that stick with a teenager for their lives? What do you think?
It could start to give them like a little bit more insecurities, make them feel like nothing's really ever right with them, and it can make them more isolated.
It could make them feel like that they're not good enough for anyone, or just in general. And they'll feel quite bad about themselves and start thinking that, what people are saying is right about them.
And I suppose then, if they are feeling so isolated, making them not want to come to school, and they're missing out on huge things there. They're missing out on their education, they're missing out on their social interaction as well. So that can have massive impacts in the future for them as well, isn't it? And the bully isn't necessarily thinking of the long term. They're just wanting that quick hit. They're just wanting to get a reaction out of someone, as you said earlier. Yeah.
In a way, the role of the upstander is not for that moment only; it's for the entire lifetime of all people in that relationship. And it's a nice role to.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, isn't it,
yes.
to change someone's life?
Yes.
You could have a massive positive impact on someone's life by just speaking to them, speaking to somebody else, letting them know.
Amy, what would you say to somebody being bullied if you feel you have to intervene, and how would you support that person directly if not going to a teacher? What would you say to them?
Like, I know it's hard, but you just need to try to ignore it. Sometimes they're only really picking on you because they're jealous of your life.
What you said about being jealous of your life, and it's actually, I suppose, shows you're in a really nice way of thinking about the bully. Like you're almost feeling sorry for them in a way.
Yeah.
They're feeling like they've got to do something to someone else.
That's good. That's good. And what happens when the bullying kind of goes beyond the school's boundary and it becomes online? It becomes sort of everywhere. What would you say to people going through this type of situation, where to find help or encourage them to look for help? Kyle?
Definitely don't keep it to yourself, because if you just keep it to yourself, it's going to keep on happening and it's going to keep on getting a lot worse. Try and find a trusted adult or one of your parents to help you understand how to deal with this.
And what about when it makes it onto online as well? Is there
like
things
reporting them or just blocking them? Like
Yeah.
for WhatsApp, you can report and block them, or Snapchat, you can report and block as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really difficult though, because kids still follow you into other platforms, kind of like TikTok, where they could post videos of you, photos of you, and you can't really do anything about it, because sometimes, obviously, if you try to report it, it doesn't always work.
And the dangers of fake videos and manipulation of photos and videos. Is that scary for your generation? Do you think about it? And how can that be used on appearance bullying?
Yeah, because ChatGPT, you can put in a bunch of words and then it will generate a video or a picture of them, and then it can be it would be a fake image of them trying to embarrass the person that's being bullied.
Yeah, AI has been getting really bad, especially with making fake videos of other people, because that can really affect other people.
Now, as you know, we like to get the views of other students in this podcast series. This is a challenging question because it challenges students here at James Young High to think about why they might not step in or stand up for someone. Let's have a watch.
What do you think stops young people from standing up for others?
I'd have to say being afraid of becoming the victims themselves, or just social anxiety as a whole.
What does that look like?
That could look like being afraid of becoming a victim, or being afraid of the term grass and being looked down upon as well.
I feel you just don't want to be bullied yourself, so you try to stay out of it and not get in the middle of it.
What does that look like?
Just avoiding conflict and not standing up for other people and trying to stay away from it as well as you can.
They don't want to be a part of the bullying. I don't want to get bullied by other people for telling on them.
Thank you, Josh. It's really interesting to hear how difficult it is to be an upstander. Amy, have you ever had the chance to be an upstander?
Yes, there was one time where someone in my class was being bullied so much that they stopped coming to school. So then I started noticing it, and then I had to report it.
Were you aware of the bullying situation before they stopped coming to school?
Yeah, they started getting things chucked at them, and I didn't realize until it was too late.
What made you think, this is it, I'm going to do something about it?
I think it's when you start to realize that they're actually not here, and it feels a little bit more different because you know why they're not.
How did you feel being the upstander and going to talk to school about it?
It made me feel quite proud of myself because I was doing something good, and then they started coming back to school.
That's amazing. Kyle, have you ever had the chance?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I saw one of the members of my school being pushed around by some other kids, and eventually it evolved into a situation where he was getting hit. So I couldn't really just like watch. I went over and got an adult because I wouldn't have been able to help, and the adult sorted it all out.
And you shouldn't interfere and help
Yeah.
in that situation. You know, calling an adult is the right thing.
Yeah, we don't,
Yeah,
we don't want you putting yourselves in danger as well. don't we?
Exactly.
It's got to be done safely. But
exactly. Daniel, what are the systems in place to support upstanders? As we're hearing from the students how hard it is to step up, and how conflicting it could be for them to put themselves in that situation. How is the school prepared to support them?
Yeah, so I think we really try and empower our students to speak out when they do see something that is wrong, and support each other. Our values are really strong on supporting each other, and our values are that we care, so we care about each other, and equality and respect. And I think we try and live these values every day through assemblies, through really encouraging students through each other. So we really are asking students to take the lead with this. And actually, if they see other people speaking out and other people are doing things for this, then they know it's okay. Then it's okay for them to do it as well, and them to intervene as well. And in terms of when things are reported to us, we are doing our utmost to intervene, and we will of course be having these hard conversations with the bullies that are doing this, and putting in interventions as a school, because that is not what we want in the school building at all.
Let's pick up with some of the other students here to find out what they think you can do when you see someone experiencing appearance-based bullying.
Can you give us a tip on how you can help someone without escalating the situation?
I think just by asking like the person who's being bullied if they're all right and how they're doing, and like what's going on and how you can help them. If they don't want to talk, then obviously like, you should respect that, but you should try and like talk to people around them and try to get them to help the person who's being bullied, and try like de-escalate everything that's going on.
You ask the person who's been bullied on who it is, and then obviously how they're feeling about it, and you can go with them to speak to a teacher about it.
If you don't want to escalate the situation, you don't always have to confront the bully. You can just be there for the person, give them a chat, like be there with them. You don't always have to like get involved in the situation.
Daniel, what's the difference between a bystander and an upstander? What is the key transition there?
So that's something we spend a lot of time on in school, and we've developed lessons purely on this, and they're delivered by the students as well on this idea of being a bystander. So the idea of standing back and watching something happen is actually probably just as bad as the bully themselves. And actually, we find in these situations, there's probably a lot of people standing around watching it happen, and they know themselves it's wrong, but it's hard to be that person that stands up and speaks out and says something. So we try and encourage the students is that they can speak up and they can make a difference in a safe way. Of course, we don't want them putting themselves in dangers, but what they'll find is if one person speaks out, it's very likely that somebody else will join them and support them in that, because they are very aware of what is wrong, but it's hard to be that person that is the upstander. It's easy to stand back and watch. It's hard to be the one that actually does something about it.
Amy, what do you think makes it easier to transition from bystander to upstander? You've made that transition. What would you say to other people?
That you don't really need to worry. People will always be there to support you. If people do try to come at you, like I said, it's going to be people there to help you. You don't need to stress. It can be really difficult, but you kind of need to think about the other person too, because if that just gets like shoved under the rug, their mental health could get a lot more worse.
So you can play a good part on helping somebody for just speaking up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Kyle, a lot of the students spoke about the mental health effects of appearance bullying, and we understand that there's some cultural aspects to it. You know, some things just kind of go by with it's a joke or it's acceptable. How is that changing for your generation? The understanding of what's bullying, how is that changing to the future? What do you think?
Well, hopefully it would change to bullying would be like racism. It's unacceptable to have or to do or say anything about it. And I think that if we make it as bad as racism is, it will definitely decrease by a lot.
The role of your generation is to shift culture in that way?
Not just ours, because the adults can help with it as well. By speaking up. If they see bullying outside of school, they can tell the kids or whoever it is to not bully, and it's completely wrong to do so.
I think that's a really interesting point of you're right, racism we know is not okay in any way, but somehow little sly comments that are seen as sometimes banter, it can lead to big scale bullying, and somebody, you touched on mental health, it can have a massive impact on them and their future as well. So I think you're right, we need to treat it in exactly the same way and call things out for what they are.
Daniel, does it affect the teachers?
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult, and it's difficult to hear and see everything going on at all times, but we try our best to call things out. We, as a school, are really proud of calling things out. We're proud of the things we've achieved in terms of we really support equality in our school. And but it is difficult. It's difficult in a busy classroom to see and be on top of everything. The corridors as well are difficult. We can't be everywhere at every time, but we as teachers are really trying to be there at the doors of our classrooms to meet and greet people, to try and keep the corridors a safe space as well. But yeah, we can't be there to see everything and intervene at every point, unfortunately. But that's where we want a whole school culture to tackle these problems.
Daniel, if you could leave a last message regarding appearance bullying to people watching us.
I think it's just enforcing everyone's responsibility, the young people, the teachers, the adults in their life, and society as a whole. I think we all have responsibility for calling these things out for what they are and supporting our young people. It's a really, really difficult and challenging time in their lives. So I think as noticing small behavior changes, whether that's the teachers, whether that's your friends, whether it's the parents at home, if we can all support each other and report these things, whether it's just the pupil coming to speak to a teacher, whether it's a parent sending a little message into the school, or the school sending a message home, just saying we're a wee bit worried about so and so at the moment, and actually catching these things earlier so it doesn't turn into a bigger situation, I think is something that we can all do. Yeah.
Amy, what would be your message?
Like, yous are all truly beautiful just as yous are. And if you do see someone getting hurt or like being abused because of their appearance, you can always go tell someone. You don't need to do it alone. There's always going to be people by your side.
Kyle?
That whatever they say to make you sad will never be true. If it's something really mean, just think of positive things. And as I said earlier, there's always someone that can help you.
Thank you. I want to say a huge thank you to Amy, Kyle, and teacher Daniel, and everyone at James Young High School for welcoming us for today's episode of Free the Shoulders podcast. Change does not rely on one person. It grows through shared responsibility. If you are thinking about how to strengthen your school's response to appearance-based bullying, the Diana Awards Free the Shoulders campaign offers practical tools, guidance, and support. You can learn more by visiting freetheshoulders.com. That takes us to the end of this limited edition series podcast. Thanks to everyone who has joined us in Kent, the Midlands, and West Lothian. We hope these conversations have inspired you to take action, whether you are a school, a teacher, or a student. Every single one of us can certainly do something. We just need to do it. Take care.